This is the 2017 GMC Denali road bike, and I will be installing a 750 watt mid-drive electric motor on this bicycle today. I have already removed the drop-down bars, replaced them with a flat mountain bike bar, installed the electric motor brake levers, which includes the wiring to cut off the motor when you brake, new grips. Let's see, what else have I done? I removed the chain and the front derailleur. So first thing we're going to do is remove the cranks and the bottom bracket. Alright, so to remove the cranks, you're going to need to remove the cap, which on this bike is broken, so I didn't have to remove anything, but there's usually a cap here. You need to remove the cap to get to this 14mm bolt and remove the bolt. And then you're going to need a tool by Park Tools or another manufacturer. The Park tool number is CCP22, and this is a crank remover. And what you do is you screw this in, and then rotate the lever, and that will pull the crank off. And then repeat for the other side. And then to remove the bottom bracket, you need a what tool is this? HCW4. You can also use a big adjustable wrench, but I think it's actually cheaper to buy the right tool than to buy a big wrench like this. But you grab it like just like this and turn it to the right to loosen and take it off. And then I need to turn the bike around to get to the other side. Then for the left side of the bike, the bottom bracket, I will be using a tool called an HCW5. This part of it, this end, and you want to grab onto this thing and turn it to the left to remove it, and then you can remove this part. And that's it for removing the bottom bracket. Alright, let me show you where I'm at with this thing, with the motor. This is the Bafang mid-drive motor, and this part fits into the bottom bracket here from the other side. And I had trouble getting it to fit. It wouldn't go in, and what was causing it to bind was just the paint on this part of the motor. So I took a file and I filed off the paint, and now it fits fine. But now I have a new problem. The rear derailleur cable and also the front derailleur cable, but we don't have a front derailleur because the motor only uses one chainring. It uses this guide that fits underneath the bottom bracket, and this guide is getting in the way. It would fit between the motor and the frame, and it's too big. So now I have to craft a piece either out of aluminum or steel. I don't know what I'm going to use yet. I need to craft a piece that fits underneath the bottom bracket that's thin enough that it will fit in between the frame and the motor, and also act as a guide for this cable. So that's where I'm at right now. And when I get something finished, I will be back, which should just be a split second for you guys. I didn't have to make a cable guide. I have an old rally bike that I've been using parts off, like spokes and stuff, and I had one of these cable guides on it with a lower profile than this one that came with the bike. So I was able to modify it and make it fit. It's a close fit, but it works. So let's get the motor into the bottom bracket. I put some lithium-based water repellent grease on the motor here and inside of the bottom bracket, and also make sure that the where the tubes join the bottom bracket, make sure there's no burrs. Get them off with a file if you find them. And all right, let's get this in. It's a really tight fit. Okay, and that is in. Make sure that the guide is good. And we're set for the next step. Alright, the next step is we want to install this piece. On this side of this piece, these lines around this circle here are pressed in, and on the other side they poke out. I think you want the side that pokes out to face towards the bicycle. And they didn't give me any instructions with this kit, so I'm just kind of winging it as I go. So I don't have torque specs either. And when you tighten these bolts down, this piece doesn't quite fit snug against the bottom bracket, so don't tighten these down just yet. We'll do that after the next step. So gonna leave these a little loose. And then before you start tightening all this stuff down, you want to make sure that the motor is all the way up or all the way forward. The next step is to install this piece. This company, Bafang, makes a special tool for this piece, and I don't have the tool and I don't want to buy it. So I'm going to make use or make do with a HCW5 tool, this end, but it doesn't quite fit it correctly, and I had to remove the kickstand for this to work. And the way that I get it to work is when you put the tool on it, there's a gap here. I try to close that gap with an Allen wrench that fits in there, but I suppose you could use anything that will fill up that space, and that'll help the tool bite and get a grip on this weird nut. And then once you got it tight, you can go back and make sure the motor is up all the way, and then tighten down these Allen bolts. Then the next step is to install this piece, which I think is really just to cover up this ugly nut here, and also it may help prevent this from loosening up. And I don't have a special tool to fit this either, so I'm going back and using the same HCW5 tool, and then you can just lightly snug it down, and that's that. Alright, next there's wires coming off the bottom of the motor. You want to work them in between that frame right here to get them out of the way. And it's a tight fit on this bicycle. And you want to start with this one. There's 3 wires. See these 3? You want to start with this one. It's got this round threaded cap. You want to move the cap away, and then you want to squash the cap a little bit. You can squeeze it back into shape once you get it through here. it won't fit unless you squash it. So, and once you get it through, just squish it back and it goes right back together. And then you can do the other three individually. And that's it for the wires. And then while I'm on this side, I've got to switch the bike around, but while I'm on this side, I'm going to install the left side crank arm. And the crank arms are identified right here with the letter L, and the other one has the letter R. So I'll put that on. And then they give you this Allen bolt to secure it. And the Allen bolt does come with blue Loctite, so to help it not to come loose. And you want to crank that down. All right, they give you this speed sensor, and it comes in two pieces. It's I don't know if I can get it back apart. No, it comes in two pieces like this, and it has a little plus mark on the end here. I think that's the part of this where you want it to come into close contact with the magnet you're going to put on your spokes. Anyway, it fits together like this, and then there's backing tape on the back here to secure it to your chainstay. And remember that wire where we had to squish down the threaded cap? That's what fits into this sensor. I'm going to wrap the wire 3 times. Should be enough. That. Connect it to the sensor. Screw the cap on. And then you can take the tape backing off and put it in place. I think that'll be good. And then there's 2 little slots where you can put some zip ties on to hold it on. These are long enough. Nope, they're not long enough. Let me get some other zip ties. Then once you have that on, take your magnet. They give you a magnet that attaches to your spokes, and this is the magnetic side that you want to come into close contact with the sensor. And then that should take care of that. I've got the motor turned around. Next we can install the sprocket. You can see it here. It fits on like this. It's 5 screws or 5 bolts, and they do put Loctite on it, on the bolts. And tighten them down. Just going to lightly tighten and then go use a crisscross pattern. And then use a crisscross pattern again and fully tighten them. Next I'm going to install this chain guard. It's just a plastic chain guard, and they give you these little screws to put it on with, and they attach behind the sprocket, like right. If I can, it's kind of awkward trying to do this and film it. The screws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm gonna turn the camera off and do this. You just tighten them down with a screwdriver. Next, install the right crank arm. Has the R there, and make sure it's 180 degrees different than the other one. And that's that. Alright, so I went ahead and installed some new pedals on the bike, and reinstalled the chain, made sure that it's shifting correctly. Everything's looking good. I removed the water bottle cage, and I did run into another problem, and the problem is the water bottle cage bolts that come with this bike are too short to mount the battery holder. So I was able to exchange the water bottle bolts in this bike with the water bottle bolts in the REI Ponderosa bike, and you can see they're longer and will work much better. And I also added a number 8 washer to these bolts just to help secure the this contraption for the battery. So I'm going to put that on. And install this. I'm just going to let it set back all the way. Should be plenty of room for the battery. And then the battery fits in. Let me readjust the camera. Battery fits in like this. does the battery fit in? Just like that. You can see it just barely clears on the back, the seat post. Maybe I should move it forward a little bit. I'll probably move it forward a little bit, but that's the battery. Now my next problem is the connector the guy gave me for the battery does not fit the connectors for the motor. He made a mistake, so I need to, I'm going to do this off camera. I'm going to cut these and install the right connector, and I will be back. Alright, so I got a new connector on the motor for the battery. You can see they connect up now. And this type of connector is called a XT60 type connector. There's the packaging. I had to buy a pair of them, and you can get them at your hobby store. So just in case you have the same problem. So next, let's install the display unit for the handlebars. Here is the display unit. Just fits on the handlebars, and then it's got a control pad attached to it. And then there you have a green. All the wiring is color coded in, you know, like male female type connectors, so you can't really get the wiring wrong even without instructions. This just opens up and you fit it over your handlebars. And they give you an Allen screw and a nut to fasten this on, and then I'll probably just fasten this control pad to the left side here next to the throttle. This is the throttle, the thumb throttle, which I don't think I videotaped putting that on. I put it on when I changed the bars out. So let me get this on and I'll be right back. Alright, so this is how I have it wired. Remember, we had 3 wires coming out of the motor. One wire goes to the sensor for the rear wheel. The other wire is to the battery, which I have routed underneath the battery here, so it's up and out of the way. And then you had the third wire, which connects to your main wiring harness, which is this piece. And this piece connects to that wire, and then you have 4 wires here, one for your display, one for your thumb throttle, and then these other 2 yellow ones are for your brake levers that will cut the motor off whenever you pull on the brake levers. So I'm going to route that up the seat tube and then across the bike to the handlebars, and let me do that, and then I will show you how I routed it and connected everything. Alright, so here's an overview of the wiring. I left the power battery wire coming from the motor and coming from the battery connected and put it underneath the battery, just to keep it out of the way. Ran the main wire up the seat tube, or seat tube part of the frame. Connected the wiring harness here. That runs all the way to the front, and then connected the other connector, main connector here. And when you're doing this, make sure that nothing binds when you're done. And then here's all the wiring, and I've got to work on, I don't know how I can clean this up, maybe. I don't know, I got to clean this up, but everything is connected. And you simply turn the battery on, hit the power switch, and it powers up, and then you can work the throttle, and you have a couple of different modes. I think this is configured for 6 modes, but I need to go through the configuration on this and change anything that I don't want. But it works, and that's how you install a Bafang mid-drive system, at least the BBS02 or the 750 watt version. So my final thoughts on this project, I really think this GMC Denali is one of the better under $200 bicycles you can get at Walmart, and I now know why you don't see a Bafang mid-drive system installed on these bicycles, and it's because of that rear derailleur cable that connects underneath the bottom bracket. But I was able to fix that problem. That was the biggest problem I encountered with installing this kit. The next problem was I couldn't get the motor into the bottom bracket, and just by removing the thin layer of paint, it made enough room where I could slide it in. Next problem was the fault of the seller. Gave me the wrong connector for the battery and motor, but I was able to take care of that by just going to the hobby store. A little over $4, I got a new connector and soldered it on. Some smaller problems I ran into, I installed the display on backwards. I had to it was upside down when I first turned the kit on. I had problems with a thumb throttle working, and I was going to take it off, and for some reason something happened and it started working, so I just tightened it back up and it's working fine now. There are two different green color wires that you connect together, and I got those crossed, so that was another problem I ran into, small one. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, it went smoothly. I think this is going to be a good commuter bike if this Bafang system turns out to be reliable. Another important thing for me commuting with this was I want to be able to use this with the motor turned off. There is some resistance, added resistance, because I think the motor turns as you pedal, but it's not really noticeable, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But I will do periodic updates on this and let you know how the bike is doing, and I've got some other things planned for the bike to do videos about, and I will do that. I'm not going to do a ride video in this video because the video is just too long, and I will do that in a future video. So anyway, if you've got any questions, just ask them in the comment section, and thanks for watching.